this too shall pass. I'm a veteran of these things, so it's for anybody who may not know, I had oral surgery last Friday. I won't go into the gory details, but it was not pretty. So let's face it.
And it wasn't meant to be pretty.
And it wasn't meant to be pretty. And I found out I'm going to have to go for a second round in September. So, but it's all about getting better, isn't it, Michael?
Yeah, yeah, it's funny. This week, I had completely new responsibilities because my daughter, her husband, and the two grandkids are in Cape Cod, where Steve is from. He's from Rhode Island.
Oh, well, I love
And I'm taking care of the cat,
ah,
which means I gotta either live there or go there every day. And that wouldn't be so bad, except my air conditioning in the car is der stunk, and it's 99 degrees every day here. Although today it's going to be 88, which is going to be like a catwalk. It's going to be a parade. I can
cooling
wear
off
my
period.
I can wear my woolly knickers and a coat because it's going to be only 88. But it's changed everything remarkably because after driving in the heat both ways, you're done. I mean, it's like driving in an oven for 40 minutes
Yes.
on the where you have to concentrate on the 101 and the 134. So, wow, what an experience. So today I'm grateful for 88-degree heat, and I'm also grateful for Tim Walls because he made me feel better. He gave me a level of optimism I haven't had since Donald Trump got elected, and I was living in Wenatchee and saw his future for America as not just weird, but as absolutely evil. And we haven't had anything to counteract that evil, truly counteract it, dilute it, dispel it, send it packing. And finally, this weekend, I got the impression that we have the power and the people and the edge to do that.
Well, yeah, I think it. I mean, I don't. I haven't really read a lot about him. I need to read a lot more and know a lot more about him and his past. But what I have seen so far, I like. How could you not like him? I mean, he seems like a guy that you want to sit down and have a drink with, sit down and play softball with.
I want
Uh,
an A. I want to take his class and get an A in social studies.
yeah, yeah, and the fact that I heard one of his students on yesterday, kid that was on his football team,
Hmm.
and we know about football coaches, and we know how much football coaches mean to these kids. We know the relationship between a football coach and a high school or a college a kid. They often are the male role model for that kid, uh,
Or not.
or not. Right? Depending on what you have. I mean, you have the Tommy Tubervilles of the world, um, but then you have the Mike Prices,
Yeah.
um, all without all of them not without their faults. And I'm sure that we're going to hear about we've heard nothing but good about Tim Walz for the next couple of days, but there was a way that he came onto the scene, a way he came onto the stage, a way that he had, um, strangely enough, I equated to Joe Biden because I think that he had that same thing that Biden has in making you feel comfortable.
And he uses hell and damn a lot.
Yeah, and
He, he,
he's a
he,
he's a
he,
regular guy,
he doesn't curse beyond that we've heard on the air, but
right?
there's
I'm
a hell of
sure
a
he
lot of
does,
things he says, and he says them damn well.
but I appreciated the fact that that he put me at ease, that he looked positively at what was going on and said that we can fix this, we can fix this, we can fix this. The thing about the other side is they never really give any clues of how they're going to fix it. Now Waltz
Only,
did yesterday, and he
only they can fix it, right? Only they can fix it, but they don't ever say precisely how.
right, and Biden was guilty of this too at the end. he went through a week of, well, I'm the guy that has to do it, that it has to be me, that I'm the only one that can do it. And I can understand when you get into those positions, you probably do think you're the only one that can fix it. Um,
Your experience is so unique that nobody else can put it together the way you could.
right. But it just as I looked at him and Kamala Harris yesterday, I just had the feeling that the torch had been passed from old white guys to fun white guy.
One comment that Walls made, and by the way, his name is not Waltz like the dance, it's Walls like a multiple walls. How many walls do you have? So someone said, "You look older than 60 years old. What happened to you?" And he said, "I supervised the lunchroom for 20 years. That's what happened to me."
I like that, man. Good morning, Peter. By the way, our friend Peter, who's a regular listener, uh, said, "Hello, men. Have a great day."
Good
Peter's a
morning,
good
Peter.
guy. I know Peter since I'm about 14 years old.
Thanks for
Back
interacting,
in
Peter.
Jackson Heights.
And by the way, we're counting on you to vote, Peter. I'm not telling you who to vote for, but I'm demanding that you vote.
Well, yeah, yeah. You gotta. Yeah, this is gonna. Whether you voted in the primary or whatever, this is the important one coming up, man. This is the one.
This is the rock show.
Yeah, this is the one that you're gonna have to show up for.
And Vinnie, I thought of you yesterday when Walls said that he had been on a rock date with Shapiro from the governor of Pennsylvania. And where did they go? They went to see Springsteen in Jersey. Not at Madison Square Garden, not at Miami Gardens, not at the Red Rocks. They saw him in Jersey.
One of the I mean, that's one of the great things that we experience now is that these politicians, we're of an age where the politicians like the same music that we do.
Yeah.
And in some ways, like music that is newer than we like, because he also mentioned Taylor Swift. That he'd been to a Taylor Swift show. Now, of course, to me, that would immediately launch an investigation
Yeah.
into, where did these guys get the money for those tickets?
Where the hell did you get
I mean,
those
I tried to
tickets?
buy tickets and, forget about it. But I guess when you're the Gov, you get tickets, right?
If the Gov wants to see the show, he should see the show.
The Gov gets it, whether we got to stand him backstage or whatever we got to do.
The only person who could get those tickets that you couldn't would be Snoop Dogg, who can get any ticket to anywhere and be paid to go. Snoop Dogg comes to my show, I have to pay him to come.
You know what? I got to tell you something, man. I haven't watched a whole lot of the Olympics, but I've watched a couple of the things with Snoopy there, and I think he's added to their coverage. To their coverage. I know a lot of people don't like him. I know a lot of people,
They don't even know why they don't like him. He's
Yeah,
wonderful.
I-
He's
you
super.
know, I think that's it. They don't know why they don't like him, but they don't like him, and I don't think it's a race thing. I don't. It's just something. Maybe it's the pot. Maybe it's but everything he touches seems to turn to gold.
Like I don't know if you saw him when he and the cook and the writer and the
Martha Stewart. Oh, the Martha Stewart
thank
stuff.
you,
Yeah.
Martha Stewart. He went out to dinner with Martha Stewart at a 5-star French restaurant, and they had everything on the menu. They had all the appetizers. They had and then of course the escargot come, and Snoop says, "Oh hell no."
No, I ain't touching that.
And she said, "You have to taste this. You don't know what you're missing. You don't know what you're talking about." And he that was too far for him. He
Yeah.
wasn't going to have the snails.
Yeah. Well, you know what? He
Thank you,
gets
Martha
that it's
Stewart,
show
for sure.
business.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He gets that it's show business.
But he has turned into the everyman. Every man's experience at the Olympics is Snoop's.
Yeah, he kind of is. He kind of. No, listen. I didn't like it when I first saw that. I said, "What the hell is this guy doing there?"
Well, the thing is, it's a cross promotion with The Voice.
Right. But as you watch him, as you see his personality and the ease in which he moves through different worlds.
Oh, and he stays the same, and the world changes. That's the
Right. The
funny
world
thing.
changes for him. No, I think it was whoever thought it out at NBC. Brilliant move. Because the Olympics, excuse me, the Olympics can the Olympics can be boring.
Can be.
I hate to say it, but the stories about the people and the struggles and everything, I think you hear the same story that you heard being told the same way back in 1972 and 76 and all those, 72 probably not because it was a horrible year. But I just think that Snoop tells stories in a different way. And so you're listening to him tell the story, and you want to hear how he tells the story as opposed to just the story. And
Did
I
you see
like
the
it.
Did you see the men's 1500 meter where it was supposed to be a grudge race between Great Britain and Norway,
No,
and
I did.
the American comes in at the last 50 yards and beats them all. It was as a guy who ran in high school, I was a runner, sprints and hurdles. It was an extraordinary finish, with the U.S. taking the gold, and all the pregame brouhaha about these two guys don't like each other. It's personal. This is the showdown. This is the race. One of them didn't even finish in the money, and the other one was silver. And the kid that won it came from behind at the last moment. He was blocked out. He couldn't get through. He was on the inside and couldn't go around and couldn't go through. And the man in front from Norway moved to the right just enough for him to squeak through on the inside track, and then he never looked back. He had all the kick that you've ever seen. It was extraordinary finish.
It's funny. I mean, I don't know why I haven't watched as much of the Olympics as I usually do, but for some reason, and maybe it's just I've been out of it actually a lot this
That
over the last week,
that explains it.
and because usually I watch a lot of it, but for whatever reason this year, and again I attribute everything. I've been kind of a whack job the past 7 or 8 days. Between the anxiety before the surgery, and you get to this age and you get surgery, and there's always that thing in the back of your mind: is anything going to happen?
Did these guys know what they're doing? I don't know who they are.
Yeah, I don't know who this guy is. I mean, yeah, it's okay. He's got a thing from NYU on his wall, but these days he could have bought it. I mean,
Could have bought it on his trip to Bimini.
yeah. So anyway, so for whatever reason, I'm kind of checked out on and especially it's funny. I mean, I checked out of politics until the the vice president thing.
Mhm.
I was kind of like, this is going to happen. We'll let it happen, and we'll see what happens. And as I now come out of my fog, I feel a little bit better. Like I'll watch more stuff. I didn't even watch baseball this weekend. I watched a couple of minutes of a Mets game, and I couldn't even tell you who they were playing. I
Did
think
you
maybe the
miss?
Rockies.
Did you miss Blake Snell's no hitter?
I read about it. I didn't see it. I saw that, and
It
I know that the
was
Mets are coming here um, this weekend. So I'm
it
going to
was
have
a
to,
dominant performance.
yeah,
His curveball was absolutely falling off the table. It was unhittable. It was there. You swing at it and it's gone. Where did that ball go? I was going to hit that ball. No, the ball moved. I'm sorry. And he struck out the side in the first inning and never looked back. He just kept mowing him down. Struck out 11.
great. Well, that's what they've been waiting for. I mean, not that they've been waiting for a no hitter, but that's what they paid for, right? The
Right.
dominant Blake Snell. I mean,
And same
that's
thing with Robbie Ray, who's turned into a good, reliable starter and is a
the thing with Robbie Ray wasn't that, and again, I think I was probably a bit unfair with him because they didn't score a lot of runs for him,
and he was hurt.
and then he got hurt. So his time here, as happens with many players that come here, um, they just, for whatever reason, we've talked about this ad infinitum, they go belly up. And he was just the latest in a long line of the Eric Bedards and all these different pitchers. Who was the other? There was another guy that they got a few
Biff,
years ago. Was
Biff
the
Sugarwood.
defending Cy Young Award winner. I mean, the Mariners have traded for or acquired, I believe, two defending Cy Young Award winners in the past 7 or 8 years, and both of them have gone belly up in their time with the Mariners. Now they've gone other places and done well, but I think that's listen, the Mets have done the same thing. The Giants probably. I mean, it's probably every team that has these horror stories. It's just that for whatever reason, the Mariners seem to acquire them more than most other teams.
Well, teams are willing to do this kind of gamble. They take Vinnie Riccici, who's healing from Tommy John. He's got a great record. He's proven himself as a guy who used to be able to pitch. If he heals correctly and rehabs beautifully, he'll be ready for us in the second half of the season. We're going to take that gamble. We're going to pay him for a full year, maybe get 10 starts out of him. And that's the kind of gamble baseball is willing to take. It's worked so far for the Giants this year in two instances, both Blake Snell and Robbie Ray. But it could have gone just the other way. It could have come back with two guys with sore arms who were never going to pitch well again. And that's a gamble that baseball's willing to take when you have a dominating Cy Young award-winning pitcher.
Right, and it always makes me, I don't know, I always think about it because baseball is the one sport. Well, no, I think hockey is the same way with that you have to pay them.
Yeah.
Football, you release them at a certain time, you only pay them so much. Basketball, you release them at a certain time, you only pay them so much. In baseball, when you sign a guy, you're on the hook for the whole contract
for the rest of his career, years into the future.
Right? I mean, Mets are still paying Bobby Bonilla.
They should. He was a great player.
He was when he was with the Pirates.
He's got potential.
With the Mets, not so much. Now,
that tells me something about Tim Walz too. When you look at his background, can he pitch in the big leagues? Well, his background says that he was a master command sergeant major in the Army, and those are guys that of the wealth of experience in commanding men and not taking crap from anybody. Being a governor means that you're the chief executive of the state and not taking crap from anybody. Being a teacher, being a coach, all that experience contributes to the guy who has seen it all and done a lot of it and dealt with recalcitrant 16-year-olds, tough linebackers, and the problems of a state. That's why he can't wait to debate J.D. Vance, because J.D. is the example of a terrible mistake made by a terrible man. Donald Trump pulled the trigger on that deal. I didn't know it was going to be this bad. I thought J.D. Vance was going to be just as good as any other vice presidential candidate he could choose. Wrong. He is not a good speaker. He's not an effective communicator. He's not convincing. He's a whiner, and he's a bought man. He's been bought and paid for.
Which, I mean, that's the one thing. Well, I mean, the whole Trump world is built around bought and paid for.
Exactly.
I mean, find somebody in that world at that level that hasn't said bad things about Trump at one point. I always take crap from Trump people about saying, oh, you said this about Trump and you said that. I'm going to tell you something. I've said that about Trump before he was president, when he had The Apprentice. I never watched an episode of it, thank God.
Donnie from Queens.
when he was when he was the idiot that was running around New York. There's nothing about this guy. He has no redeeming value. There's not. He's he was a guy that I just never liked him from the the whole time that he's been in the public eye. I've just looked at him and said that's just a guy. He's not a he tries to sell himself as a true New Yorker.
Not a serious man to be taken seriously.
Right, right. I mean, the only thing he has is money, access to money. I don't even know if it's his or not, but that's what he has. He has access to money, and he knows that most people can be bought. Almost everybody has a price.
Even though you don't have to pay them. You just say I'm buying
Right.
you. How much?
And
$17
the
million.
shining example of that right now is Rudy Giuliani.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he will go down. Rudy will go down as the textbook case of somebody who had a high standard. I mean, he was loved by even though people might have liked him for things, might have not liked him for certain things that he did as mayor. There was no doubting that he pulled through New York. He helped pull New York through and the country through a very. I mean, you can't watch that Saturday Night Live episode where he opens the show and
Right.
not your heart not feel something. And he was the guy that when he said we'll get through this, you believed him. I don't know that I believed Bush when he said it, but I believed Rudy Giuliani. And my father believed him, and my family believed him. And we were proud of him because he was an Italian guy who made good. And he was bought by Donald Trump. And when that buying of of Rudy Giuliani got to a point that Trump didn't need him anymore,
Cast off.
now Rudy's bankrupt.
Got no friends.
He stands a chance of losing everything he's ever had. He certainly lost the most valuable thing he had, which was his reputation. He's become a national joke.
He owes hundreds of millions in these cases.
He owes those two women 150 million or 300? I forget how much it is. But those two women that the poll workers
that he knowingly besmirched.
that he knew it, but he figured, these two black women from Baltimore, Virginia, who's gonna care? Well, you know what? He found somebody that did care, and he happened to be a judge and a jury.
Yep.
And people don't take kindly to people bullying people like that. It's these two people, and Michael, I've been a poll worker. I've worked the polls for years. And you give up, you're not giving up like a first responder or anything like that, but you take crap from people. You sit there all day because you want to see democracy work. You want to see this thing that we've done here in the United States work.
Not everybody agrees with that, but yes, that's the idea. It's a simple enough idea.
And when you see people who come along and disrepute people and take their reputations apart for no good reason that work at these polls, you take it as an affront not just to them but to you too. Poll workers put up with enough crap from people.
The letter U and the number 2.
It's amazing, and for him to do what he did, but why did he do it? Because he thought he was getting bought and paid for by Donald Trump.
Loyalty to the man.
And there's nobody that's gotten bought or paid for by Donald Trump who has come out of it yet alive. I mean, name me one person whose life has been improved by being with Donald Trump.
No one yet. It's a short list. In fact, it's non-existent. No one yet.
Certainly not Mike Pence, who was bought by Donald Trump.
And his stump speech has gotten progressively weirder. He's taking off on incongruous flights of fancy, making comments and comparisons and asides that don't have any relation to reality.
He's whacked out.
And the people are leaving his campaign stops. People are walking out and leaving empty seats, where as, in response to his unfocused approach.
I was looking at a thing this morning with Mike Lindell. I just had
My pillow.
the My Pillow guy, Mike Lindell. There's a guy who is, you want to talk about hitching your wagon to Donald Trump and losing everything. Here's a guy
Whoa.
that, whether you liked his pillows or you didn't like his pillows, had a thriving business going. He was I don't wouldn't call him a celebrity, but people knew who he was. He was on TV. Most importantly, he was employing a couple hundred people in Minnesota,
Making ShamWows.
making pillows, and he had a good little thing going. All he had to do was to do his thing. If he wanted to vote for Trump, he could have voted for Trump. Who would have cared? I'm not one of those people that say, "Oh, I'm not going to buy this because this guy voted for this guy." If it's a serious thing, yeah, that's one thing. But there's a lot of people. If his pillows were comfortable, and evidently a lot of people thought they were, I didn't think they were particularly comfortable. He was in all the big stores. He was on Amazon, and he goes and he hooks himself up with Trump, and what happens?
All is
He
lost.
loses his business. He loses his employees, uh, and he loses his respect.
And he doesn't care. He's still committed to it.
Because he's nuts.
Yes, he's as they say in Texas, he's tetched.
Yeah, he's nuts. Something ain't right with that boy.
It just ain't right and ain't going to ever be put right.
And that's the thing that I look at, and I don't know that I feel sorry for these people, but I mean it's happened enough time over the past 12 years, and even before that. I mean, I know people in New York that worked for Donald Trump and still waiting to get paid, and they worked for him in the years that had 1990 in front of it.
Apparently, he's got problems with his indoor venues because he hasn't paid them from the last round. Now he's coming back to Cincinnati again or St. Louis again, and he wants to rent the same hall. And they said, well, there's this little matter of you not paying us the last time.
Right? As I've told my friends, man, that are Trump people, I said, if you want to like Trump, that's your business. Um,
However,
I I'm not gonna like the guy. There's nothing that he's gonna do that there's nothing that he can do that you're not gonna change. You're not gonna tell me he's a good guy. Show me somebody else.
who loves him?
No, show me somebody else that has a plan in the Republican Party. That's not the 2025 take over the country. And I'll look at it. I'm open minded. Show me something that's going to say it's going to make the country better.
It's reminiscent of Der Fuhrer, where no one could act, no one could make a decision, no one could pull the trigger, no one could turn on the lights without the Fuhrer's permission or his leadership or the inclination that you were doing the right thing. Your wishes, your abilities, all were sidelined as you waited for the Fuhrer to tell you, "All right, turn on the lights, let's go."
Right? But he gave you a good vacation. He gave you 2 weeks in the Alps every year.
It's true.
And he gave you basically he sold you the same goods that Trump was trying to sell you.
I
That
got this. I'm the man for all
right.
seasons.
I'm the only one that can make America great again. I got news for you, pal. My father taught me this a long time ago. Nobody's indispensable.
Not even Lou
Nobody's the
Gehrig.
only person that can do something.
Wally Pipp sat down, Louis Gehrig sat in. When Lou Gehrig sat down, somebody else sat in. And
Yeah,
that's the way it goes.
Babe Dahlgren.
Babe Dahlgren.
So I don't know. It's going to be. I'm sure that we're going to find some imperfect things about Tim Walz. I'm sure we'll find imperfect things about everybody in the campaign. I mean, we want perfect people to be politicians, and there are no perfect people.
Well, I'm saying that with Wall's background, taking on J.D. Vance and Trump is going to be a pleasure for him because he's put up with smarty pants kids for
Right.
20 years. He's been a master sergeant in the army. He knows how to give an order, knows how to take an order, and knows the difference between the two. And he's got a backbone and a sensible approach to things. He turns the room alive when he just said, "Mind your own damn business." Mind your own
Well,
damn business. That's the bumper sticker for the campaign, and it has to be said every day. Mind your own damn business.
well, he's got that same thing that attracts people to Joe Biden. You know, people are attracted to Joe Biden because they felt like almost like he was a member of their family.
Uncle Joe.
Uncle Joe. Everybody wanted somebody like Joe in their family to come to Thanksgiving dinner. He wasn't the crazy uncle. He was the uncle you wanted to come. You wanted to sit and watch the football game with. You
Yep.
wanted you wanted to argue with him over who was going to get the leg. And but it was fun. And then after the dinner, they go out and throw the football, or before it's almost it just seems to have that quality to it.
I think you're right.
Maybe he's a good bullshitter. I don't know.
And there's
I
there's
don't know the guy personally,
there's a natural trustworthiness that comes with that type of relationship.
but the ability to put people at ease, which is what again we need as a nation now. Again, we're in a position where um, we need people that can bring us together, not rip us apart. I mean, that's so much what we need.
And Donald Trump is not capable of that. Not
And
capable
yeah,
in,
and,
in,
and
in the
it's just
beginning.
nobody in that Trump camp that's going to advocate bringing people together.
And his advisors don't really advise him. He advises his advisors. Tell me what I should do. And
Right.
here's what I want you to tell me. Tell me what I should say, and here's what I want you to tell me to say. And don't tell me when I ask you to tell me what to do not tell me what to do. Do you understand? You don't tell anybody in my position what to do.
And it's interesting to see how many people, the number of people who have joined as Republicans for Harris deal. I know that they're the names you would expect, but there's people that are willing to cross the lines to put themselves out there. I'm waiting to see if there's an endorsement from Liz Cheney. I think that would go a long way. And I think if Kamala Harris was smart, which I think she is,
Put her
she'd
in the
find a
cabinet.
place for Liz Cheney in her administration.
Yeah, the cabinet. Right.
I don't know what she'd make her, but Josh Shapiro as Attorney General and Liz Cheney as I don't even know what yet, but certainly one of the departments that Trump wants to eliminate would be the ultimate slap in the face. But and we need something. We need someone who's going to bring us together, and we need someone who's going to help lift. We need to have somebody who's going to make the forgotten people in our society, the seniors, the low income people, find some way to give them a chance, while also making sure that the ones that are trying to play the system are bounced out of the system, because that's something that we saw. You know, none of these candidates, and I think it was Trump that started this. None of these candidates talk about how much money people defrauded the United States government out of with the COVID stuff. How many businesses um, overstated their earnings and took money from the government that weren't entitled to it? You just don't hear much talk about that. And that was under Trump's watch for the
In
most
fact,
part. I mean, I'm sure that I think that Biden had part of it.
Walls addressed it part of that yesterday when he said Trump froze during the pandemic. I haven't heard anybody talk about going backtracking to the COVID days and how Trump botched his response in every conceivable way. And he has to pay for that in his with his reputation and the lack of support for that you would have to question supporting anybody who was unable to take care of a tragedy, a crisis, a pandemic, a medical emergency, and to bring nothing to bear to be able to have zero response. I
Well,
remember them
his
talking
idea was
about
going to Puerto Rico and throwing paper towels at people.
yeah, flood's over. Here's a paper towel. It's not bounty, but it's the best we could do.
Yeah. It's well, again, Michael. People, this is again going to put. I forget who said it yesterday, but once again, you are going to be called upon, as generations before you were called upon, to save the system that we have.
It's up to
However
you.
flawed you think it is, you're going to be called upon to save the system again, and try to make it a better system.
I thought because they started in Philadelphia that somebody was going to quote Benjamin Franklin, who was the preeminent mind behind the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Revolution. And nobody did. But I was thinking about him because he always saw both sides of the equation. He knew that there was danger in forming a republic and the basis of a democracy because it relied on the people to govern themselves and to vote and to participate and to be part of the solution of everything that presented a problem for the nation. And he saw that early. He saw how the people that he had gone through the revolution with were, were able to meet these challenges, sometimes more successfully, sometimes less successfully. And he knew that this was going to play out in the future. And the only solution was that everybody has to play. We need more people on this team, not fewer. We need more people making decisions, not fewer. The idea is you don't have a leader or a dictator. You have to have plans and solutions that appeal to the masses.
Right.
And they have to take part for it to work. And we're at that stage again where those who vote are going to be part of the solution, and those who don't, or take it lightly, or poo-poo it, or come up with a reason why it's all fixed and rigged, those are the ones that get left behind.
Well, it's you could make 1,000 excuses for not voting, but what's the excuse you're going to make when somebody tells you that you can't go visit your kids in another state because we think that somebody in your block might be pregnant. We don't want them leaving the state because
Nobody's
you're in
leaving till there's
Idaho and have the
nobody crosses
ridiculous
the state line
laws.
until we get this squared away.
I mean, again, I just I think we're better than that. I think we're better. And listen, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz may not be perfect, but another 4 years under Trump, um, I don't know that this country survives that. I don't know that the country survives it. And we've survived a lot, man. We've survived the depression. We've survived wars. We've survived a lot of stuff in our history, in our lives. In our lives, we've survived a lot of stuff. But you know, I mean, we survived McCarthyism and
I just
everything I
stand by
read about
too.
that. It wasn't no picnic. So you have your choice, America. Um, you you
You
do
have to
have to get
wonder.
up and vote.
The funny thing about the Trump supporters is it never crosses their mind to question themselves about why they support a charlatan, why they've been taken into the big game, why the big lie, why the extraordinary stretch of the truth in every speech he makes, in every comment he makes, in every lie he tells. How does it resonate with these people? People who, in some cases, are educated, in some cases, they're not. But they both come to the same conclusion that he can do no wrong. He's infallible. And they're prepared to defend him on any point, on any comment, on any decision he makes. They're there to defend him.
Well, they're comparing him to Jesus. I mean, how in the world do you see a parallel?
Well, Jesus at least had a side hustle. He was a carpenter. This guy's got nothing.
Yeah, he's got nothing. That's the one that always gets me is how in the world do you compare this guy to Jesus? I would be embarrassed if somebody came up to me and started telling me about how Donald Trump was like Jesus. Then he had a. Then they tried to sell me a, a leather painting. No, not a leather, a velvet painting of Trump at the Last Supper.
With all the people that with Jesus and Rudy Giuliani, Biff Jiggerman, they were all there.
Yeah, I just I don't get how you can. I don't get how you can do that. I don't get how you can go from that to
Hulk Hogan.
looking at this guy and say and compare him to Jesus and then call yourself a Christian. Maybe somebody can explain it to me one day. I would love to have somebody explain it to me.
Well, I think Bob Dylan said it right when he said, "Sometimes the devil comes as a man of peace." Here he come. If you're willing to listen to his line of malarkey, if you're willing to buy into the bullshit, of course he would come as a man of peace. It's a perfect cover.
Well, the good thing is, Michael, is that now does Tim Walz have to resign as governor or can he stay as governor?
He he has to resign, I guess, after the election.
Well,
Should he
I'm
win?
talking about
Because if
before. He
he because
doesn't
if
have he doesn't have to resign
because if he lo-
immediately.
if he loses, he remains governor.
Right, right. Because I think it's in some states, if you spend a certain amount of time out of state and you're the governor or a high elected official,
The
uh,
lieutenant governor takes powers.
yeah, the lieutenant governor takes over.
In
Or
fact, it happens as soon as you leave the state. As soon as you cross the border into a neighboring state, the lieutenant governor is in control.
well, I know that was one of the things that took I forget his name now, but the governor of North Carolina out of the running is because the lieutenant governor is
He was a crazy
some
man.
kind of extreme right wing.
Yep.
You know,
Liberty gibbet. He's a Trump liberty gibbet.
yeah, and so he would have had to turn the state over to this guy, and by all accounts, it didn't seem like they wanted to do that. Just like a lot of people said that uh, Mark Kelly, that they were they didn't know if if he ran that and won, that yeah, they would appoint a senator for the rest of the year, but then they were going to have to go through a tough race
There's
because I
no
guess
no
the
guarantees.
temporary is only until the end of the year.
They didn't want to put themselves in a position where they lost a Democrat from the Senate because of their own maneuvering.
Right, right, and so you didn't want that to happen. Um, by the way, what about my man Josh Shapiro?
He doesn't have to yell.
He
Tell him
likes yelling, though.
that the
He's been
microphone
to
is
too
off.
many Springsteen concerts. His ears are blown out.
Little Stephen, hear me now.
I liked him. He was the DA in Allegheny County
Which
when I
is
was living in
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
and a sharp guy. I met him a couple of times, and really sharp guy. He's got a future. That's the
Yes.
amazing thing to me about the Democrats is it seems like I was not a year ago, 6 months ago, we were talking about who would the Democrats run? What's their bench? I mean, where are they? And all of a sudden, all of these interesting names have kind of popped up, which seem to be normal people.
The AAA.
Yeah, all of a sudden, Whitmer we always knew about. I mean, we always knew that she was going to be somebody that was on that short list of people um, that were ready to go. Um, I didn't know much about Tim Walz. Did you?
No.
No. I mean, I knew he was the governor of Minnesota, and I kind of remember some stuff around George Floyd and that whole situation. But other than that, I didn't know this guy. But all of a sudden, you look at the Democrats, and they've got some names. They've got some people who seem like they want to govern.
It's another unexpected positive outcome of Joe Biden stepping down.
Yeah. He did the best thing that he could have done. I mean,
No, you're right.
you talk about being a hero.
And it's funny how the Republicans have yet to recover from that. They have yet to pick up the challenge. They have yet to answer. They have yet to respond. They have yet to rebut. They can't put it together. And that's because there's no one in charge except Donald Trump, and he's not an organization man.
Well, and also, Michael, every response that they have comes from a place of hate. You can't consistently tell people to hate somebody,
They
that
got
they're
one
not
word.
as good as you, that they're because of their you can't consistently call people um dog whistle types of names
San Francisco liberals.
and make fun of people and expect people to keep buying into it. Even people even walk away from the bullies in the schoolyard after a while.
Yeah. Because it's the same show.
Yeah, maybe one or two people stick with them, but for the most part, uh, the ranks of the mean girls get lower as the
Yeah.
school year goes on. Or, if you're not in with the cool kids, after a while, people get sick of that. Most people, unless you're not normal, unless you're a whack job, and you thrive on it. And it seems to me that that's what Republicans now seem to be doing. They seem to be thriving on, their call to action is not, I want to make the country better. Their call to action is hate your neighbor.
I want to make you feel less secure.
I want to make you feel like there's really no solution except electing me to this problem that we have. And make no mistake, we have problems.
But they can't be solved by destroying the Department of Education.
Right. You're not going to make anybody better by saying that the Department of Education is going away, and you're not going to enforce certain parameters for education. Ask any teacher.
As Tim Walz.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to attract, you're not going to make things better. You'll attract votes maybe from more disenchanted and embittered people. But that's what you're going to have. You're going to have a room full of disenchanted and embittered people. And don't we want more than that?
And from them you get to pick your cabinet and all your best advisors and all your solution makers. From that group, you have to pick the solution to every problem that comes, and they come not one at a time, but three at a time. Well, we got Gaza, we got Iran, we got the unemployment. What are you going to do today? We're going to tell them to hate each other.
Yeah,
We're going to tell them only I can fix it, but I ain't going to fix it today.
Yeah, we're in a really precarious place in the world right now, and we really got to. I don't know. I want more. I want to feel a sense that I can work with people I don't agree with. I want a sense in our lives, to me, that we want to, if we don't agree on something, that we don't denigrate, we don't belittle people, we don't call them names. We try to figure out, well, where can we go? How can we make this thing better?
But Vinny, I know you're using this as an example, but there's nothing in their makeup that makes them think this way. They can't even begin to address a problem in this fashion. Their problem is, first thing we're going to do is get everybody who said anything about me in the 6th grade in prison where they belong.
Yeah.
Then what are you going to do? Then we're going to have lunch. And we're going to have Diet Cokes.
And Big Macs, as many as we can have.
Yeah.
It's really hurting me. I can't eat hamburgers. I can't eat anything that I have to chew.
Yeah.
I mean, I like yogurt. The good part is ice cream. And I went hog wild last night. I bought myself a sleeve of Oreo cookies and a container of whole milk. Sat there and dipped the cookies in the milk.
There you go. All the food
and made me happy. Maybe
the
that's
food
what
groups
Tim
are-
Walz is. Maybe he's the cookies and milk.
I think he is. I think that's precisely who he is, and he knows not to have too much. He's the guy who pulls the plug on it too. That's enough.
Right.
That's enough of the cookies and milk.
Right. One glass of milk is enough for you. You'll get a tummy ache.
You'd be barfing up your treats like the cats do. Something our cats do that I don't understand. They eat their treats as fast as they can, and they barf them up. Then you know what they want?
My Uncle Mush used to do that.
I think he still does that.
It probably does. Probably sits on that stoop on 63rd Street.
Has a treat and barfs it up.
No. All right, what do you say we get together and do this on Friday?
Okay, Ben, feel better. It's good to see you again.
Good
Thanks
to see you,
thanks
dude.
for our
Thank you
listeners
all
having
for all
patience.
time.
Normally we're here Monday, Wednesday, and
Yeah.
Friday, but normally we're here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but this week it's a little different. And because of that, I don't ever know what day it is this week. So it's Wednesday, right?
I believe it is when you know what I had the same problem. I woke up this morning. I was like, "What
What the hell day is this?
day is it today?" So yeah, I got to I got to get my scheduling back. I got to check my emails. I haven't checked my emails in like 5 days.
There's nothing
So
in
I,
there.
I got to get in there and look at those too. I'm sure.
Open everything that says toe fungus.
Oh, then I'll be. I got toe fungus. I can't fix it. Nobody can fix it.
Soak your feet.
I'm going to soak my feet and put tea tree oil. I think
It's
that's the thing you
it's
put.
better than being told to soak your head, which is the advice we get from time to time.
3 times a week from my mother, whether I need it or not. All right, man. Hail Spolpaki, as we always say. And I will see you, if the Lord's will and the creek don't rise, on Friday morning.
I'll see you on 66A.
All right, Pally. Good to see you. Peace,
Me-
love, and Manischewitz, baby.
What a wine. You can
See
get it
you,
on the
Mikey.
frontage
Thank
road.
you all for listening, too. Always
Bye.
appreciate it.